Hi everyone, we're back, North County Natural Medicine here, and we have an exciting announcement that our cleanse guide is now available on the website for free. So go ahead and go to our website, northcountynaturalmedicine.com, and download that anytime. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can either put comments below. We're happy to answer any questions. You can give us a call, 760-385-8683. We can answer as many questions as possible for you that way and help you on your detox path. So last week we had the pleasure of having Andrew come from ET&T. He is an expert in environmental testing for the home or work. And so he talked about how to know if you're living in a healthy home. So we wanted to share some tips tonight about what we learned from him. So Melanie missed it, but we're gonna catch her up. And Jamie, what were some of your takeaways from Andrew's talk?
Okay, the first one he discussed was all about mold and ways to prevent mold. And two of the key takeaways that I really paid attention to were always look at the direction that your sprinklers are facing. So make sure that no water is actually hitting your home, that it's only hitting your grass area. Because that water will keep hitting the wall and then eventually leak down underneath your home and up through the walls. So that was a good one. And then another mold one was in the bathroom. Always make sure you turn on the air ventilating fan. And then a good way to see if it's actually pulling air out or if it's just circulating air, because he said a lot of times he'll see that homes have just a fan that circulates the air. Instead of a vent that actually pulls the air out and releases it somewhere else through your roof. Is to put a tissue, when you turn the fan on, put a tissue into the top and see if it sucks the tissue. So if it sucks the tissue, then you know that it's actually pulling air out and pulling moisture out. And if the tissue doesn't stick to the roof, then you know it's just circulating the air, which is what you don't want.
Great point. So we see a lot of mold patients here at North County Natural Medicine. So a lot of people don't realize that it's not actually even the mold itself that can be so harmful, it's the toxins that the molds produce. So we're not talking about mold growing inside of you or even worried about like the mold that might be on the edge of the bathroom tiles. What we're worried about is the toxins that those molds are producing. And getting those out through a detox like what we're doing over these 6 weeks is a great way to at least get started on feeling better. So we've been seeing patients all week that are struggling with that mold sickness, and one of the confusing things is that like a partner, somebody who's exposed to the same things, will not be affected. They won't have the same symptoms as somebody who's maybe genetically predisposed to feel mold sick. So keeping an eye out for mold is really important, not just for you, but maybe the other loved ones that you live with.
And we can also do a lot of mold testing here at the office. What are some of the tests that we do? We do mycotoxin testing.
So we do urinary mycotoxin testing, and we like to provoke that with glutathione to make sure we get an accurate result. The other thing we do are the whole entire Shoemaker panel. So Dr. Richie Shoemaker put together a really good comprehensive panel that looks not specifically or directly at mold, but it's some of the things that can happen either in the periphery or in your brain that can be the effects of mold. So we offer both of those. We also do the nasal Marcons testing to check to see if you might have a drug-resistant type of either fungal or bacterial infection that's in your sinuses, when in fact you might actually be harboring some of these pathogens, and then they can be creating toxins in the body that can definitely affect your health. So 6 weeks, the 6-week cleanse, and sometimes a little longer if you have a lot of toxic burden building up, is really important. But the number one thing in any sort of environmental medicine, no matter what is going on, is making sure that you have stopped the exposure. So that is what Andrew was so nice to come and talk to us about. And certainly mold was one thing that you can be exposed to in your house. Some other things that he brought up are carbon monoxide is a really important one because it's a silent killer. You cannot smell it, you cannot see it. It's an odorless, tasteless, invisible gas that can actually kill people. So it can lead to very debilitating symptoms. So having a good carbon monoxide detector in your house, and you want to keep it low. It's actually kind of heavy, so you keep it low to the ground, have that plugged in, and then make sure that there isn't any carbon monoxide in your bedrooms especially, but anywhere in the house really.
Exactly.
What were other things that came up that you remember?
He talked a lot about EMF exposure. And so he always said to keep a close eye on things that you wouldn't necessarily assume would produce high EMFs. A perfect example of this was he brought this little old clock that must have been from like the 40s or 50s. It's a super old little clock, and it gave off a massive amount of EMFs. So you can buy the readers at a store, or you can bring them in to take a quick look, especially if it's somewhere that you're spending a lot of time in your home, next to your bed or next to a workplace, or somewhere where in the kitchen, or somewhere where you're spending a lot of time. You definitely want to take a close look at that. Another key tip was Wi-Fi boxes, or the router, making sure that it's as far away as possible from where you're working. And then they also sell these like copper sleeves, or like protection pieces that you can put around these devices to minimize your exposure.
So yeah, he had a good point. Those little chips you can buy that are supposed to be able to protect you from EMFs. His point was that EMFs are like go out in a field, right? So it's not going to just come to this one spot and reflect it. It's like light, or almost like the way I was thinking about it was like if you're wearing this like little chip right here, but it's raining, that's not going to protect you from the rain, right? You're still going to get wet. And so if you just have a little chip that's trying to reflect EMFs, you're still going to absorb them. You're still going to be getting them. And even if you put those chips in your phone or whatever, it's not going to block that EMF exposure. So what you need to do is completely encase it. And what they offer are these copper wire pouches for things like phones or even your wireless router. And it doesn't decrease the efficacy. So you still have great wireless. It might not go quite as far, but the EMFs also won't go as far. That was a good point too about the EMFs, is that you can just get about 3 feet from something that's emitting EMFs, and a lot of the frequency goes down.
Yeah, exactly. And with the copper equipment or things that they sell, he also mentioned that if you are in a home that is near a tower, and you know you're going to have high exposure, or a certain room in your home has a lot of exposure, you can line the walls. I mean, the windows obviously won't protect you, but you can line the walls with the copper.
Yeah, they can paint right over them, and then the EMFs won't go through that copper wire. That's a great way to do it. Do you have any questions about how to keep your home healthy?
You guys kind of nailed it. I mean, I can't think of any questions on the top of my head. I guess I'm still boat sick right now. But
missing Catalina.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I'm sure things will come up, and I'm sure I'll watch this later, and when I'm at home or something, and I'll write a little comment in there and
ask us good questions.
Oh, I have one more good tip. If you guys have recently bought a home, or you're furnishing a home, always let all that new furniture off gas and open up your windows as much as you can. He said it can take up to several years for furniture to off gas, so
kind of scary.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep that into consideration.
The other thing with remodels is that if you start taking an electrical wire here and an electrical wire there, that can start to create quite a few EMFs. So if a contractor comes in and starts doing an addition in this direction or an addition in that direction, just make sure the electrician is doing a thorough job making sure all those wires are grounded, so you don't have a lot of electromagnetic frequencies popping up in strange places behind walls that you aren't aware of, especially in like a child's bedroom or something like that. If you have other questions about EMFs, mold, moisture, indoor air quality, lead, or asbestos, please give ET&T a call. They're ET&T.com, and they're here in Encinitas, so local to us, and they do a fantastic job. The guy who started that company, he actually writes a lot of the, what am I trying to say? Like the standards around how to deal with remediation, and there's some debate in the community, the mold community, about whether or not you can remediate a house or if you have to just move. And at ET&T, they actually say that you can do a good job remediating if you get the right people to do it, so you don't contaminate the rest of the house, and you really mitigate all of the factors that can come up as you go through that process. So they have tons of resources. I've been referring to them for years to get my patients help who've come in with mold exposure, mold sick issues, and they have done a fantastic job. I always hear how grateful patients are. So we're really lucky to have them, and we're looking forward to having them back and continuing to work with them.
Yeah, they're awesome. This concludes the 6-week cleanse. We're doing a little potluck tomorrow night to celebrate. But next week we'll be back with Sarah. She's our new acupuncturist and massage therapist.
Yeah, Jamie and I both have gotten treatments from her. Melanie needs to get on the book.
She's awesome. She's really
amazing.
good.
She's very wonderful. It helped me a ton with stress and just being able to chillax a little bit. That was a treat.
Yeah, she's great.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week. Download our free detox handout that we've got on the website, North County Natural Medicine. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Bye.